All right, everyone, let's get right into it. As your TA, my job is to walk you through one of the most important papers for your qualifying exam. Seriously, if you want to understand modern corporate finance theory, you have to know this one inside and out. So let's dive in. Okay, so we're tackling de Wautrepan and Tirol's 1994 classic, A Theory of Debt and Equity. And look, this isn't just another paper on your reading list. It's a game changer. It answers a question that's so basic, you've probably never even thought to ask it. And that question is right here. Why do we have these two totally separate things, debt and equity? I mean, why not just issue one single type of claim on the firm's profits? It's just a simple slice of the cash flows. You'd think that would be way simpler, right? But that's not what we see in the real world. And that's the puzzle this paper sets out to solve. And the answer they come up with? It's genius. They argue it's all about control. Financial structure isn't just about divvying up the money. It's a really sophisticated tool for deciding who gets to step in and make decisions. And, this is the crucial part, when they get to do it. This whole idea of state contingent control rights, that's the core thesis. Remember that phrase. Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the puzzle, lay out the logic of the model, unpack the famous good cop, bad cop idea, show you how the optimal contract works, and then wrap up with the exact takeaways you need to nail your exam. So, Section 1, the capital structure puzzle. Let's really get into why a single, simple claim on a firm's profit just doesn't cut it. The problem with that simple strip of claims idea is that it completely ignores a huge issue: managerial moral hazard. You know the drill. Managers run the firm, but they might not always act in the owner's best interests. Maybe they get these private benefits. They just enjoy being the boss and continuing a pet project, even if it's a total dud. And yeah, you can give them bonuses or stock options, but that's not always enough. Sometimes what you really need is the credible threat of intervention from outsiders, people who can actually fire the manager or shut the whole thing down. That threat, the threat of losing control, that's the real discipline. So, to see how control rates fix this, we've got to understand the model's setup, what they call the rules of the game. The model sets up this core conflict so well. You've got a manager who wants to be left alone to run his projects because, again, he gets those private benefits. Then, the firm's performance, its profit, acts like a report card, a signal about how well he's doing. The key here is that the manager is motivated to work hard to get a good report card, not just for a bigger paycheck, but to avoid the one thing he absolutely dreads, having outsiders meddle in his business. Okay, now we get to the really cool part of this paper. This is the central analogy that makes it all click. It's how they personify debt and equity to solve this whole problem. So just imagine you've got equity holders and debt holders playing this classic good cop, bad cop game with the manager. The equity holders, they're the soft cop. They're usually on the manager's side. But the debt holders, they're the tough cop. They're the ones the manager is really worried about. But why? Why do they have such different attitudes? Well, it all comes down to the shape of their payoffs. Equity holders have what's called a convex payoff. You have to know this term for your exam. Because they get all the leftover profit, their potential upside is basically unlimited. This makes them love risk. They're on the same page as a manager who wants to keep projects going, even risky ones, because hey, you might just hit a home run. That's why they're the soft cop. They're less likely to step in and shut things down. Debt holders, on the other hand, are the total opposite. They have a concave payoff. Their upside is capped. They just get their loan paid back with interest. That's it. They don't get a single extra penny if the firm becomes a massive success, but they're fully exposed to the downside if the firm fails. This makes them incredibly cautious. They're the tough cop, ready to pull the plug at the first sign of trouble just to make sure they get their money back. So the firm has these two types of investors with completely different personalities: a risk-loving soft cop and a risk-averse tough cop. How does the optimal contract actually use them to keep the manager in line? And the solution is just, well, it's elegant. You don't give control to just one of them all the time. Instead, the optimal financial structure is a brilliant contract that literally passes the baton of control based on the firm's performance. It puts the right cop on the beat at exactly the right moment. And this table here illustrates the main result perfectly. When the firm is doing great and profits are high, control stays with the shareholders, the soft cop. This is the manager's reward. He gets to keep his freedom. But when the firm performs poorly, when profits are low, bam, control automatically shifts to the debt holders, the tough cop. This is the manager's punishment, the threat of interference, or even liquidation. That threat is what gets him to work hard to begin with. Okay, this next point is a little subtle, but it's absolutely critical for your exam. The paper argues that you can't just separate the payoff from the control. They have to go together. The party in control needs to have the right financial incentives to make the right call. Just think about it. What would happen if you gave the tough cop debt holders control when the company's booming? They'd be way too conservative. They'd probably shut down valuable, risky projects. And on the flip side, if you gave the soft cop shareholders control during a crisis, they might be too passive and just let a manager gamble the firm into oblivion. So you have to match the right incentives with the right control.
Okay, let's bring it all home. Here are your exam takeaways. If you were cramming the night before, this is the slide you absolutely need to remember.
So here it is, boiled down. 1. Debt's concave payoff makes debt holders the tough cop, the perfect party to step in when things go wrong. 2. Equity's convex payoff makes shareholders the soft cop, happy to let management take risks when things are good. And the big punchline, the main contribution here, is that capital structure is about so much more than taxes or bankruptcy costs. At its very heart, it's an elegant solution to an agency problem. It's a mechanism for allocating control to solve managerial moral hazard. And I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. This classic theory paints debt holders as the main enforcers. So what does that mean in today's world with the rise of activist shareholders? These funds that buy up equity but act like a very tough cop, demanding big changes and breathing down management's neck. How does that modern reality fit with this foundational framework? It's a great question to think about. All right, that's it for this explainer. Good luck with your studies.